back again. This is the remix.
Take two. Take two.
Of the Eat for Life podcast. We had some interesting challenges and some opportunities earlier, so we're bringing this back to you. I'm your host, Marcus Howard, co-host, welcomed as well by Sebastian Burton, Tamika Red Infamy, Derek Watford, and our guest for this week is none other than Tim Field. So thank you all for joining us. Your home for all things esports, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and education.
Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
Welcome back.
Doing
welcome
this
back.
again?
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. All right.
That's right. New episode.
New episode. How you been since last time I see
you? It's been a while.
You been good?
While, you know?
You been good? Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, good.
So Tim, we're gonna start it again because people didn't hear it. You and I, of course, got history. We known each other for about a decade, a whole decade plus. So the backstory, everyone. I asked my first podcast opportunity was provided by this brother right here, Tim Fields. He gave me my first shot as far as being on a podcast every week, which gave me so much experience to this day. So Tim, let us know, like, as far as like it started, of course, with Thug-Geek podcast, but what was Thug-Geek about? Like, how did it form and why the word or the title Thug-Geek?
Right. So back in the day, early 2000s, like 2007, me and my brother, we went to a anime convention in Columbus, Ohio. And we went to the convention and we was like, yo, we don't feel like paying for this. Like, we don't pay for this anymore. So we came up with this idea of Thug-Geek because we both look like thugs, but we were really big geeks. And we got press access. We covered the convention. We got interviews and everything. So we came back and was like, yo, let's run with this for a little bit. And so we started doing interviews with other game companies, doing product reviews and stuff too. And that was the birth of Thug-Geek. And then we had Red Infamy on several times with Crunk Girl, Big Cheese. And it was fantastic. And that's where everything started from my gaming career. Started right there and then.
That's dope.
Talk about kind of the journey then from Thug-Geek to where you are now with BSN.TV.
No problem. So what ended up happening was during my whole time in the game industry, I started to notice like it's not that many people of color in this industry. Like what's going on? And especially with the eSports started picking up too. And I'm starting to notice that it was only black. You see a lot of people of color in FGC stuff, but when it came to like the other, like from MOBAs to FPSs and the big games and like that nature, you didn't see that many of them. So I'm like, you know what? We need to have a network for us. And that's where we came up with BSN.TV, which is short for Black Esports Network. And our goal is to get more people of color in the esports and gaming. And we do that through tournament events by providing different wins and stuff from our sponsors. So they can have little care packages so that we can get more pro players. And then even if you don't want to become a pro player, you might become a game developer. At least you have those tools necessary to become there. So that's why we got some great sponsors that came on board too. And that's why we're kicking butt now.
Shout out to the community. We're starting to get some great feedback from everybody talking about how much this show has been helpful for them. Understanding like how do they really kind of take our experiences and make it their own. For example, we had a guy who was working as I think as a security officer overnight, and he's trying to get his work shift shifted so that he can start working nights and weekends building his own company in the gaming space. What kind of advice do you have for someone who's trying to do that, right? Who knows they have something, right? But they still got to pay the 9-to-5 bills, or pay the bills with a 9-to-5.
So basically what you got to do is look at like, hey, is it something that's going to change the market? It's going to be disruptive. Is it something that's going to drive you to be the best at it within what you're doing, especially with a company? Because game development is not easy. Like, it's super not easy. I mean, it takes time, it takes finances, it takes money, and that's just getting the game done. And then you got to look at the publishing standpoint to even get the game to the market. That's a whole other thing. And then once you get it published, you got to fight for space to even get that. So it's like, are you ready? If you're ready to go through those things, then by all means, you are ready to become an entrepreneur.
Okay, so you think that like you think that it's a better route to try to raise money pre-money, or do you think it's better to do it like post when you have the MVP already?
So it makes it easier if you have the MVP. So when it comes to raising money, you, like I said, you want to make sure you have two things on point: your story and your metrics. And it just makes it easier for you talking to whether it's an angel investor or you're doing crowdfunding or you're doing VC funding, to talk to those people because they have proof of your concept. Because if you don't have proof of your concept, you can sit there and talk all day like, I want to build a spaceship that goes to the moon. Okay, but can I see it and can I touch it? If you can do both of those, and they'll believe in you and they'll invest in you. So from a developer standpoint, from any other product or that you're making, you want to have some type of proof of concept so that way you can gain attention so you can actually get any type of funding if you need that.
You know, I hear a lot of people running around saying that, like proof of concept, proof of concept. Break that down in layman's terms, what a proof of concept is. Because a lot of people will say that. It's a hot word. Like, you'll hear people be like, yeah, we have a proof of concept. Like, I hear it all the time. I always did. What, for you, somebody who's raised $1.5 million, what is an official proof of what is an official proof of concept, rather?
Super simple. I'll do it this way. So say, for example, you got an orange, right? It looks orange, it tastes orange, but can you prove it that it's orange? Until you peel it open and open it up and you actually see the orange, guess what? It doesn't exist. So you have to have something that people can touch, taste, and feel. Even if it's on paper, even if it's a video, people literally invest by seeing. And they see that you're capable of doing that, they'll invest in that. Now, it will be some roles in between that to get to that money, but as long as they see that you're working on it and you're looking at the right partners to come on board with that, you shouldn't have an issue at all, unless they just plain old just don't care.
All the time, people talk about that back of the napkin idea. Like literally, people drawing some mock-ups up or screens on the back of the napkin.
Exactly.
And you get their early stage rounds. Can you speak a little bit more in depth about like the different rounds?
Yes. So, for example, there's different rounds, and there's different. I mean, literally. So you have your pre-seed, then you have your seed, you have your Series A, and then Series B. So your pre-seed is, for example, if let's say you're a company and you're a super startup, like everything is just an idea, but it's a fantastic idea that you might have either a widget done for it or some type of mock-up. That is what you're gonna do for pre-seed. Now, seed is that the idea is actually done on paper. So you have like a rough demo or something like that. That's a seed round that you want to get funding so you can finish it. So you can go to your Series A. And your Series A is basically that you're either pre-revenue or post-revenue, and you just need some more money that's going to just take your company to the stratosphere. And each of those are different levels that the VC looks at or angel looks at. And so what I say is that when you're coming in from a new startup standpoint, go for an angel first. That way they give you a cash capital to kind of finish your proof of concept or MVP, and then go from there. Because you might not need 1.5 or 2 million to get your company going. You could have just needed 100,000. Then you bootstrapped everything, and now your company's making 200,000. And so you have to look at the perspective, give and take too.
Yeah, that's good too, because a lot of times we'll, especially as a startup, you see the money, you're like, yo, I got all this money.
Exactly.
But it's like you have to pay that back. Like
Exactly.
you know, the investors need their money back. But walk us through, like, how did you raise 1.5 million? Like, because when you see someone as a startup or trying to do things without a commercial, like some type of machine behind them, it's like, well, how did you build 1.5?
Was it one person? Was it 50 people giving you 50,
Yeah.
what was the deal? How did you get there,
So basically what we did was we use our sponsorship levels with different companies to raise our value. And then by raising our value, we also brought proof of concept and an MVP at the same time. And we did that through different tournaments. And so that way, when we created our pitch deck, which is another thing that you make sure you have, if you're doing any type of funding, make sure you have a pitch deck and a one-pager. A one-pager is a brief synopsis of everything your company does.
Yeah, for a brand period, it could be yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a one page they can read, because it used to be they look at the pitch deck, now they're looking at one pagers now. And if you're one page, you can't sell a person on one page of information, they're going to move forward to the next person. But if you give them the one pager that showcases the outline of what your company is doing, from your annual budgets to your projections that you want to look for and the amount that you're raising, it'll be a guarantee. And then you have your MVP to go along with that. Because what they're going to do is this. They're going to look at one page, all right, bet. What's your MVP? You're gonna have to show them that, and then that's gonna get you to an actual meeting for you to pitch. So that was just 3 steps right there, just to even get the door even cracked open a little bit. Now, this is the thing. This is the key. So once you actually get into VC meetings, you got to start spreading it around town a little bit through emails. Like, oh, we're talking to this person. That's gonna get that other VC interested. They're gonna get another angel investor interested, because it's a community, y'all. They talk to each other. And so, they'll be like, so you're talking to BSN? Well, we were talking to them too. Well, what term sheet did you give them? Well, I gave them this term sheet. Well, we gave them this. And now they're fighting for you to give you money because it's clout. I mean, I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, it's clout. So you have to be prepared for that. Now, the way we did it this kind of similar way, but we had our MVP on point, we had our sponsorship on point, and we let the VCs talk back and forth, and that's what helped us get to the 1.5 that we ended up getting come with.
Okay, and do you feel like, talk about that community level a little bit, like, is it important for you to, how important is it for me to tell people who I'm talking to? Is that like really important?
Super important. So one thing a lot of startups get scared of is because they think because they have such a good product, they don't want to share openly. They like to keep everything internal. They only try to work with people directly. You cannot have that fear. Like, no matter what, somebody's going to copy, somebody's going to try to do something. You cannot have that fear. You got to be on point to put your
always competition, right?
Exactly, and that's the market. It's market validation and competition. That's the market, and so you can't have that fear. You got to reach out because these VC and businesses talk to each other. And now, don't get me wrong, the Black VC world is completely different from the regular VC world. So that's another issue right there too, which we can go into later. But those are just some of the things you got to prep for if you're looking for funding. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to look at your work and be like, do we need funding? If we do, this is the steps you want to take to do it.
Okay.
How much time does it take you to get your funding closed, like from start of fundraising to 1.5 million in the bank?
So even like right now, what happens, you do like 3 or 4 meetings, and then right now we're under our term sheet review. And that term sheet review can last anywhere between 6 to 10 weeks. And so that's both companies agreeing like, okay, we like this percentage, y'all like the percentage, and then it goes in a review, and then they're doing what they're called their due diligence, where they're going over everything. They're checking background checks like crazy. But like I said, they're doing that because like, I'm about to give you $1 million. Are you going to make this money back? You know that you have a business plan, you know you have this, but we're about to get you set up, and we want to make sure that we get our investment back, and that's how you have to do it. So you have to make sure you're ready for that long process, because on top of that, a lot of people stop working because of that. You have to constantly keep doing it. You can't just like, wait for money before we get started. No, you have to keep putting product out. You have to keep doing that until that phase finally
That's
goes.
a gem, because there's a time between you actually getting the money,
yes,
and you need to keep your business viable, and you
exactly.
need to keep your lifestyle and your house viable, right? So you got to do all that while you wait for them to kind of just review.
Exactly. So basically, I put it this way: you got to have at least 16 weeks open for even doing any type of VC funding. So you need at least 16 weeks.
Wow.
And you got bills due, you can't do bills with 16 weeks.
I ain't no mathematician, but it's about 4 months. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's about 4 months. You got to wait a little bit of time before you get that yes.
And remember, that's if you got in the door, though. If you didn't get to the door, you're still doing that same process until you get a term sheet.
So, wow. So that means you just have to wait until you even get to wait.
Exactly. So for example, you met a VC, you did a pitch, now you wait for the term sheet. So it's either, I can just wait for that guy to respond back. No, you got to keep going, because you want that other VC that you met after him to keep talking, so they can give you that term sheet a lot faster. Otherwise, you just can't do it in this spot. I'm waiting. Then they come back and say no. You just waited 5 weeks and got a no.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a aggressive game. Even though you have to wait, you have to strategize to get like the timing right, even if you're courting different companies or things like that.
Exactly.
There's like a dance to it. That's pretty crazy. That's really crazy. I know, Marcus, you've done some dancing with that as well. And I guess like my question for you, in reference to Tim and how he did it, you did it with crowdfunding. So what would you say your experience with crowdfunding was over these last couple of years? Because we know that less than 1% of African American companies see venture capital. So what was kind of some of the key things in crowdfunding that took place for people who might not know?
I think the best part about it was that we got to set our own terms, right? And when you talk to VCs will give you their term sheet, and as I'm sure Tim will say, you negotiate back and forth on what you do or don't or will or won't accept. But we were able to set our own terms, and then we went from launch of campaign to close in 3 weeks. Granted, we only raised $56,000, right? It wasn't 1.5 million, and ours, frankly, was more of a friends and family round, but the technology allowed us to raise the money so much more quickly. So I personally, and I tried the other route. I went to 10 states from Florida all the way to California and raised $5,000 in accredited investment. So in my mind, it makes more sense to go the non-accredited route, because when I started doing that, these platforms didn't really exist, but now they do. So I think it's worth at least having as an alternative, because you may end up getting a term sheet from a VC and then it's got crazy terms in it. I talked to you about that before. I dodged the bullet. I dodged a couple bullets.
Right.
And I can tell you guys, I've got some great, especially depending on what round you are too. Like if you're doing a pre-seed or seed round, a VC, if a VC's asking for anywhere between 28 to 20%, no. Because that's your starting off money.
You started,
You just gave away 28% of your company for your start off money, and then you might need another raise, and they might be like, well, we need 30%. That's 58% of your company going already. Right. Exactly. So you got to be very careful with these term sheets, because not only is it going to affect your future, it's going to affect your valuation too. And that's the one thing that a lot of startups that go the VC route, because it's all about the evaluation of your company. Is your company worth this and that? So by us getting 1.5, it gives a valuation of $15 million company.
Okay.
Yep. I've seen, unfortunately, down here in Florida, more than one example where a founder went and raised some venture capital and they had a term sheet. I guess they didn't go through it thoroughly, or they needed them so badly they took the term sheet anyway, and those founders literally got booted out of their own companies.
Yep.
I've seen that plenty of times.
Four that I know of that's happened.
Yeah, you have to be super careful. Like, you got to make sure you got a good lawyer and you with them reading over all the terms, because there will literally be little instances like that. They'll be like, oh, I got to give you guys 0.2% of every sale. Where did that come from? Like, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. So yeah, you want to make sure you double check and look at that. But because otherwise you can end up giving your company away for free and you thought you got the money that you needed.
So,
but that's just a shady VC though. They're doing all that. They're just shady. Most VC companies, if you're talking to them, they're working with you because they have the experience to get that company to make the money to get their return back.
Okay.
So VCs should not a true VC is not going to come. Here's your money. Good luck with it. Hit me when you got my money. A good VC is like, here's your money. Here's some resource I got with this person, this person, this person. Let's keep taking it to the next level. That's a VC that you want to work with.
I want smart money. Yeah, exactly. I want to push that smart money idea a little bit further. What do you see as what made you select the people that you did partner with, the firms that you did go with to raise on? What made you select them? What made them the smartest choice for you?
Oh man, they were a product market fit, and they had plenty of resources for us. So it's like one thing getting money. The next thing is getting resources that's going to help you scale your company. And when I say these guys got scalability, their scalability is ridiculous. I mean, they literally, their hands are in everything. They have experts in everything. So I'm like, I took it from like, yo, we got bread and I can learn and we can increase our marketability. Oh, we bet. Oh, and you guys want to mess with us too? Exactly. So that's the kind of thing that you want. You want that relationship where it's like, I can text them at any time. It's like, yo, what's going on, Tim? What's good? What do you guys need? Still waiting for that. Like, that's the type of relationship you want with a VC or angel investor. You don't want anybody just going to walk away with no expertise. And that's cool for your friends and family round. But no, when you get into serious funding, no, you don't want that at all.
So it's more strategic partnership you should be watching too, more than just getting capital in. That's what smart money.
Like, if you're a gaming company, you shouldn't be If you're a gaming company, you shouldn't be talking to a library VC company. Like, that's not going to work out. That's what you want to look at. You want to look at stuff like if they're in fintech or they're in medtech or they're in the crypto. Like, you want to look at those portfolios. Like, for example, what helped us was we utilized a software called PitchBook. It's fantastic. It's super expensive, but it's worth it, especially if you're doing seed round. And so this gave us an in-look and outlook on what they're purchasing, the deals that they're working with, everything. So that helped us, even though being black in the black startup world, it helped us narrow down to people we need to contact directly. And that helped us tremendously.
Do you feel like you needed to code switch in order to secure what you secured? Were you authentically you? Oh no, I was being 100%. Like I can't change me at all, man. I got tattoos. I'm a gamer. I do all this and that, but at the same time, I'm business and I'm about tech. And so that's the key companies that we're looking at, especially the VCs that we're looking for too. Like, we want to make sure the people that were hip and they know what they were dealing with, black tech people, and they were perfectly cool with that. And especially the company that came on board. So we're like, woo, it was a win-win. It was almost a 2-year battle, but
We got it. A year and a half almost, yeah.
Did you have that comfortable? Were you comfortable with the authentic you right out the gate, or is that something that you worked on?
Worked on since being in the industry from 2007, man. You got to learn it. Well, you got to switch on your thug, and then you got to switch on your geek. And so I literally have been a combination of both, because one thing I've learned about when talking to VCs and seed and angels and all these different people is that you got to have good context when it comes to everything. So, for example, that led to these relationships, because right now everything's virtual. So you can't have those, like Marcus was doing, flying different state to state to meet the people and stuff. No, everything is met right through Zoom or met through Google Meet out. They're going to get your personality. So one thing I live by, you got people that say business is personal. Like, don't keep, it's nothing personal, it's business. I live the exact opposite of that. Business is super personal. And that's how we got our funding, because I kept the relationship personal. Yes. Like most of the time we had our VC chats, we were talking about video games. We were talking about this and that. Like, and they liked me as a person. Like, okay, bet. We like you. You real. You keep it 100. Here we go.
Yeah, that part of the equation is always missed. And that's why there's so many one-offs in this industry. There's so many one-offs because there's no relationship. Nobody wants to seek a relationship, or they think it's foreign. I'm like, if you want long-term business, you have to have some type of relationship.
That's a fact. That's a fact. There's just no way to do it without it. And I this is coming from a guy who, I love what you've done, Tim, but I'm like, literally, I think the startup culture has just made so many entrepreneurs, and I wanted to exclude you because in our first take of this, you proved to me that you're a really educated entrepreneur for not just raising, but you do have the sales skills and the understanding of like marketing, which I think is a key that a lot of people don't miss. You'll hear me say that a lot, or a lot of people miss, but you're not one of the people I'm talking about. But I feel like the Shark Tank TV show and the culture made people just be like, we only got to be a little good at that. We really just gotta be able to. We really just gotta be able to wait that 16 weeks. Tim was talking about 4 months. Just gotta wait, and we'll have enough in that we could do what's called burn and all these things that come into play.
Exactly, and that's what the actual interest thing. That's the thing. Like, let's say if you've been talking to VCs and have no interest, that's an even longer wait. So it's like, I mean, lucky for us is everything fell in place. I mean, it's post George Floyd, so you have a lot of VCs looking at, okay, let's look at that portfolio. Oh, wow, guess what? We invested in that as a single black company. Let's change that. Okay, these guys are looking for this. They got a good business model. They got a good business canvas. Let's open up a conversation for a pitch. You get the pitch, you pitch. Oh, wow, okay, we really like the product. Let's sit down, let's do another open interview. Oh, okay, so let me tell you about the doctor interview. The doctor interview is the most scariest stuff in the world, because if you get the doctor interview, that's when the VC serious about you. So what happens is
the doctor interview.
Yes. Okay. So what it is? So that's when the managing partner, the managing director, the analyst all come on board and grill you. When I say grill you, they grill you like to a well done steak. So they're looking at your market costs, your productability. They're looking at all different stuff. They're breaking your business plan down to the T. And if you're not ready to hit those step questions back, that's when they know, like, okay, you're not a fit. But if you know your product and you know what you're doing and you have the love for your company and you just hit them right back with the same thing, when you leave that meeting, you're like, yeah, and they're gonna hit you right back like, yo, okay, we're ready to give you a term sheet. And that's the biggest thing, is the doctor interview.
So it's kind of like a one-on-one where they ask.
No, it's a 10-on-1.
Oh, it's a 10-on-1.
Yeah, it's a group. It's the managing partner, the managing director, the analyst. It's everybody in the room, and they go through your business plan and destroy it and make sure you know your product. Make sure you know your company.
Oh, it's like one of those doctor reviews, like when someone's trying to get a doctorate type of thing. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Wow. Well,
it's scary. It's scary.
You went through that. You made it. You've been through that more than once, or just one time?
Yes, I've been through that 4 times.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
One of the things that surprised me in my journey, and again, that's why I went through the equity crowdfunding route, is the goalpost shifting. And I'm disappointed to say that actually came from a black VC. So someone who said, man, I understand this is the space, and you're hustling, and I believe in you. And I'm just get a 4-figure deal or a 5-figure deal and come back to me, and then we're going to write a check. And then I came back with a 5-figure deal, and I didn't hear from the VC I still haven't heard back. Right?
So that's called VC bullshit, and you'll get that a lot.
Okay, well that's a term I can understand.
So literally, so what happened was, and trust me, I got it all the time post George Floyd, where they're like, "Oh, we love your product, we're definitely interested, but this, and this." That's just them saying no. That is literally just them saying no in a professional way. Because if you email them back and you get a no response, that's the reason why they gave you that first response.
Isn't that like a runaround instead of them saying, "I don't think that we're fit at this moment" type of situation?
And that's the difference between a VC that's actually interested. A VC that's interested will be like, "Yo, we like what you're doing. We like your MVP. But if you get it to this, and this, and we have a term sheet to back that, then they're interested. But they have no term sheet to back that up with, don't waste your time."
Yeah.
A term sheet is everything. The term sheet is their validation, let the VC letting you know that they would like to invest in your company.
What have you heard about VCs harvesting like market data? So the only reason they do a call for pitches or for pitch deck.
Yes, let's get into that. Okay, so here we go. So
let me set up myself.
Yeah.
So that is very, very popular among the Black VC world. So last year, a lot of Black VC companies and even HBCUs, they got money from Microsoft, PayPal, all these big corporations for funds. Now, I'm a big fan of the company themselves just doing that allocation themselves and just let people apply for it. That's fantastic. But when Black VCs get $50 million from PayPal, and then they run what is called a pitch and pour, where they give out $10,000 here to 4 companies, even though you just got $50 million in VC money. So on the interest alone in that in your bank, you're getting swapped with that. So you're not even losing any money. You're not hurting at all. It is free advertising, mother. So for example, they'll say, "Oh, we invested in 4 Black companies by giving them $10,000, and you wasted almost 2 hours, 3 hours of your life trying to get there." It's horrible. It's horrible. And that's what they do for marketing. They'll literally say that we helped these many companies. "Oh, we had over 1,000 people apply." It's like, yeah, 1,000 people apply. We want to get $50 million from you. But we gave out 40,000. Look at us. We're helping the Black community. And that's why Black VCs, you shouldn't have the same issues going through a Black VC than a regular VC, period. I'm gonna call it what it is. Black VC, you go to their site. Like for example, it's one company, it's in Harlem. I'll just keep it at that. And so they make you go through this crazy procedure. If you get one wrong, to get an email the next day, "Oh, we're not interested." It took me 8 hours to fill this form out. And then you send me an email that fast and say you weren't interested?
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's again why, in our first stream, Tamika made a great point on that like, you shouldn't really have to expect that kind of tighter, like the belt shouldn't be tighter from, a Black VC than, a non-Black VC. I feel like it shouldn't be tighter. But
like 2 times systematic, like problems. Like we already get it from the end of systematic racism. It's like, okay, damn, you trying to make sure I don't get this so I don't become a VC? Like what is that? Like that's where I'm like, why is this happening so much? Where in the industry, and I've seen this in plenty of other industries. I've faced it even my own being in this industry, working with independent Black media sites, and I'm like, yo, I thought we was all in this together, but so over here that don't look like me is trying to give me an opportunity more than you're trying to have me become successful. And it's definitely an issue with
it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue. And on top of that, they'll go on CNBC and start talking like, "Oh yeah, we're really helping the Black community." It's like, you're not doing anything. You're just talking more about your fund and how much money that you guys are getting. Like that's not the point of doing this. Like if I was the VC, I'm giving my money left and right. Like, yo, you got a good business plan, you got a good character model, here you go. This is what you need. Let's get it going. And that's the thing though too, like they're not even giving us reverse of that. Let's say for example, you're a startup and you say you need 1.2 million. But then you look at your numbers and everything, like, no, man, you only need 200,000. That's the type of response you're getting. Like, okay, maybe I do need 200,000. You look at it, you're like, you're right. I do only need $200,000. Bad. They give you that fund, do a 5% term sheet, done, and then they can see that scalability with that. I mean, another thing is this over mentorship. That's the one thing that's happening right now in the Black tech world. Is that there's so many mentor programs, you're being mentored by this and this and this. And they just like, I just need money, man. I just need the money so I can do this stuff. Why am I going through 10 different programs just to get this one thing? And that's the one thing I need at the end of the day.
It's math prerequisites.
Accelerator. and the curriculum all ends up being the same thing, and most of it you can see on YouTube for free, right? So why are you
for free?
YouTube University. YouTube University. I am a fan and an alumni.
That's part of the process, or is that part of thinking black businesses are inadequate, so I must run them through a gauntlet to see if they're, because I imagine that they're lacking, so let me offer these services so that they're not lacking versus just giving you money.
You know what? That's a good question, but it works the best of both worlds though, because you might have some companies that's like, first off, put it this way: if I'm already on your website looking for your contact information, submitting this stuff, you are ahead of everybody else to being mentored. Period. Because if you're new to business, you're not going to go through that process yet. You're still busy trying to do a business plan. You're still busy trying to figure out numbers. Like, it's literally about your level. So I get it where they're trying to get to kind of cut through the different snit to get to the point. But it's like, I'm already past there. I just need this so I can grow it, so I can prove my point. I need to do that and that. But yeah, it's just that process is annoying. It's super annoying. And it's like, that's not, it's going to deter a lot of, it almost deterred me. It's going to deter a lot of new entrepreneurs. And man, I got to go through all this just to get this. It's like, well, guess what? There's a lot of grants out there that people don't look at though, especially now. Like,
where would you say like people should start looking, or, historically that will work with minority or otherwise? Just how do you find, like, if I'm, you 50 steps ago, where are you starting in 2021 to try to find those grants or traditional venture or angel? Like, let's pull the curtain back and see like where they should go right now.
So what you need to look at is actually different funds. So for example, Facebook, when they came out, they announced like, yo, we're going to be putting this amount of money in these certain areas. So some companies will do a target demographic. So Facebook did, they did Atlanta, they did New York, they did certain locations where if you were in those locations, you could apply for these grant funds. And most of these grant information is available usually through any grants.com, US government. I mean, plus their company too. Like for example, Epic Games, they did a mega grant for $100 million, $150 million, they did a mega grant. And so if you follow their, and the key about getting a grant is just follow the freaking lines it says to follow. It'll literally give you the steps. Are you one a company? Are you
hold
two
on,
lady
you say, hold on.
Please.
Say US. You said what grant?
Yeah. Oh, you got,
she's trying to type. She's typing right now. Right now. You said what? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You got to drop those.
Grants. What you say, UX or US or what you say?
Yeah, just grants.gov.
US grants.gov.
Yep.
Another gem for you.
Because I mean, a lot of people will be like, yo, I got this, I want to do this, this, and that. They're like, yo, where the hell do I look? And then when people do go on YouTube or even search, a lot of times it'd be a runaround. You be looking at this person like, yo, get to the damn point. Yeah. In your title of your video, it's saying this, but you're giving me all this verbiage so I could sit here for 15 minutes so you could get more on your video. It's like, where do you start? So thank you for dropping that, because a lot of people honestly don't know. And that's another thing I was going to ask too, is even to Derek's point, where are they getting this information? Because of course there are black businesses, and it's not that a whole bunch of businesses are failing because of the economy. So where's the statistics where it's specifically saying that black businesses or black startups are not successful? But can't that be due to all different types of factors, not because of their like lacking of certain knowledge? Like with that alone, or if black venture capitalists already know that information, why put them through all these steps that they wouldn't do to another company? That's like what I'm very confused on.
Exactly. But for them, it's marketing. It's marketing material. So for example, like I was saying, like we were saying earlier, if I know that I can get almost 2,000 applicants applying for this $20 million fund, and I only have to give out 4 prizes each quarter, which gives me a total of 16 prizes per year, that only cost me $160,000, and I got still $20 million in my bank account for this fund, that's what I do it for marketability. We've helped this and this and this, and we did this and this, and we got over 1,000 people sign up for our fund. You, as a black entrepreneur, would be like, yo, I should drop that. They're really helping black people. But even though if you look at the lines in between, like, hold up, 1,000 people applied, only 16 people got money.
So would you say there's some positives, like have you ran into some positive aspects, of course, of Black venture capitalism, what they're doing?
No, because yes and no.
Okay,
so,
okay.
No, because 10,000. Let's say, for example, like depending on what type of company you have, is $10,000 really going to launch you to the stratosphere? When your bills monthly could be almost that much, depending on what you do, whatever. And so that's how you look at it. So like if you're a true startup, let's say for example, I'm a product startup. I have a product that costs me $1.19 to make and I sell it for $10. Is that $10,000 really going to help you? Yes, it's going to allow you to allocate more product so you can increase your revenue. But if you're a tech company and you need to hire freaking 20 programmers to build your freaking platform, $10,000 is going to it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So it's literally about your business model. But that's the thing, but they have you fill out this whole form about your business model, telling you that you need 1.5 million. Well, you didn't get in, but we'll give you a chance to win $10,000. It's like it's literally a game show.
Yeah, we were on that one, Marcus. That what did Project MQ do that one time?
Omega,
Pitch Omega. I mean, listen, you couldn't take somebody with a fear of heights to a cliff and they wouldn't feel worse than I felt, because I already feel the way I feel about venture capital, and it's a very personal decision, but you got to be there for your brother, and Marcus got invited with Project MQ to a pitch competition called Pitch Omega, and it was the exact experience you're describing. So you're just bringing up so many emotions in me, because I remember being up there. I remember being up there just feeling like tap dancing for these three dudes who, like, I don't know what they've done that, like, they can't understand the innovations we were trying to bring, right? Like I'm almost on a game show, because I'm clearly, clarifying what our business can do. I'm clearly, we definitely had it laser sharp on when the return was expected, but it felt like with all the lights and the camera around because of the competition, it just felt like that's what it felt like. It felt like more of a competition than actually like the content, right? Yeah, the content.
It was content. Yeah, it was content for them.
Yeah.
Did you guys win?
No. And I'm upset about it. Yeah, I'm upset about it. And it's funny. It's funny too, because
I mean to laugh at y'all, but I'm saying
no, it's fair. It's fair. And
so you're saying it was more exploitation than
yeah, for sure, because I could see that was Han Park, and I forget the other guy's name, but he helped start like Honest Tea with Jessica Alba. He funded that. He funded that fund has done like a lot of those, like Kim Kardashian with Shoe Dazzle, a lot of those companies. So he was like one of the celebrity judges. Han Park was a celebrity judge. Obviously, he started ESL, and just how much it was kind of like already in the bag for Juke.gg, which is great. Like I have no problem with it, but just the way the process went, I could have told you he was gonna win it before we even went up there. So exactly how your sentiment is, I feel that way, because he was like buddy with them up front. Juke had the most money of all four of us already. So I just was like,
why did he need more?
I was like, yeah, of course their stuff is more advanced. Like, duh. Yeah. Like you don't even need common sense to know that, right? It's like that's the part I really felt what you were saying right there, because that was like, so it was more of a dance. Yeah, it definitely had that more feel of it, like I was on a reality show with competition. It felt similar. Similar. I remember that. It felt like that. So yeah, that's a good point. I think that I'll heed that warning if I do get into raising, where it's kind of like you need to get that term sheet, is what I'm hearing from you. Mm-hmm. You need to get that term sheet, and you need to be able to wait out until the discussions are met where both of you are happy.
Exactly.
I took the gym. I took the gym.
Otherwise, they have me dancing around.
Do you feel like it's the game is to win, correct? When you're doing business or you're trying to secure money, do we agree on that?
Yes. Actually, it's a little bit. It's both. It's both, because you need the money so you can win the game.
So then, do we look bad on Black businesses that do the white face, where they hire someone to run and go gather up their money and gather up their, I don't know, their
so
what's the word? You know what I'm talking about? Like
I do. So even within our company, even though we're a Black eSports network, we got white co-founders. So what it, because it does, it opens, I hate to say it, because even in the black VC world and the regular VC world, it's just like when Obama went for president. He wouldn't have won president if he didn't have Biden backing him up. It's like we want to move forward with you black folks, but we need that safety net. And I hate to say that it's still there. It's still there.
There's so many factors.
Yep. Like right now, one of our co-founders, he works at IBM. He's in an IBM entrepreneur program to become the next CEO. So even when they look at our pitch deck, they see that they're like, okay, well, he does that, he does this. We have some pull, and that opens up the door too. So yes, having a little white face, it's not going to hurt. It's going to open up some doors. I hate to say it, but that's the reality of it. But it's like the exact opposite when you talk to another different type of VC. So you got to pay attention to, you got to weed out your VC investors too.
I have this contrarian view again because it just kind of burned on the whole VC space. But I feel like given the time that I invested, I learned a ton about the ecosystem, but I feel it's almost better to spend that time, or if I had reinvested most of that time just building my product, right? Those hours.
Exactly.
And then only the VC, or you're in a better position of leverage. Exactly.
And so that comes down to your MVP. Like in the meantime that you're trying to raise money, make sure you're still working on the product. What a lot of entrepreneurs end up doing, because they get so focused on raise, they stop working about the product that needs the money for. Like, what's the point of raising it if you still haven't started working on the product? So you want to make sure you always have the MVP on deck. Make sure you're always working on that main product line, so that way they still see their progression. Because at the end of the day, they're going to invest on what your progression is with that company. Like for us, it's been 3,000 users. We got this, and this. As we're still doing this, and this. They're like, okay, you're not just waiting to get money to move forward. Now, if you're doing pre-seed, yeah, that makes sense, because you're like, I need money to even make it. That's different. But when you're doing seed, anything post-revenue, pre-revenue, you still have to have some type of prototype going where they can see viability from it.
One of my colleagues in the crypto space, blockchain space, says that your customers have more money than investors ever will. Right. And granted, he's invested in another equity crowdfunding platform, but I can't argue with his logic.
It always comes down to, would you rather have 1 million friends or $1 million?
Yeah. Yeah.
Each one of those friends give you $1 a day. That's 7 million a week.
That's a lot a week.
Exactly.
I'm going to say that if no one else is going to say that's a lot a week. And that's where, again, I think that, our generation, the rough part is nobody wants to, for lack of a better term, thug it out. We got the Thug-Geek in the house. I'm going to say what I want to say. And then people don't want to thug it out. People don't want to thug it out no more. Like, you don't want to just, build a sales pipeline, right? Like, you have to really have a channel where you're being able to get a projected amount of sales in a month, because you have a system that leads you up, that you build. You build it. Exactly. There's no, turn the key over and now, now I have sales. Like, you build this. And then your unique company finds a way that it uses sales by testing different channels, right? Maybe you advertise a lot. Maybe
A/B testing is everything.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that, because a lot of companies want to just we can get to the point where we have so much money, we can pay our salaries, and then it'll kind of just work out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And those stories have been, I think, poisonous to the culture. And I think in esports and gaming, it just started really, really early, right? We've seen it in tech, we've seen it in everything else, but esports is so new, and it kind of started that way. I constantly tell people, because look, I'm not, and I'm so proud of you, bro, for taking it to that level where you're in those rooms, right? And it does rub me the wrong way, Derek, that people got to use white people to explain, or have that white face, so to speak. It's like why, right? That's how I feel in my heart. But
and it's even worse when you're talking to black VCs like that too. It's like
that's what I was about to say.
It's it hurts, man.
It's it's like I expect what I need for this end. If I'm with you, it's like, okay, so why do I have to? Okay,
yeah,
it's called the better Negro syndrome. That's why I call it the better Negro syndrome. Well, I'm already up here, so why should I help?
That's what I'm. Yeah, no, I think that's really
gatekeeping.
In California, I won't say specifically where, but when Malcolm and I were early on into our journey, we had already built the prototype. We had already established that game discovery is the biggest problem in the gaming industry. We had built a global community, and that, we had all the pieces together. So we go to this VC, and I don't even get to speak to the managing partner. But the number 2 comes to me and says, "Oh, well, we're not investing in gaming anymore." I said, okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the market's exploding, but that's fine. Black VC. I think less than 12 months later, I see that same managing partner who I didn't get a meeting with on a panel at a major conference talking about how hot the gaming and esports space is for investments.
It's ridiculous. I see that all.
See, that was that VC bullshit I was telling you about. That's exactly what that is. Oh, we're not interested in that. Literally, I got several emails back from that. Oh yeah, we're no longer investing in that space. A whole announcement a week later, we're investing heavily into that space. What are you talking about?
Because they got what they needed off of you.
Yep, and that's what they do. So that's the other thing, real quick. So when it comes to the VC realm, there are different people that you talk to. First, you talk to the analyst, then you talk to the director, then you talk to the partner. If it stays in the analyst is just feeding information back to the director so they can purchase something else. If it doesn't go past to the director or the partner, stop, end it right there. You have to stop talking to the analyst. The analyst is just feeding them more information about the company, more information about the market, and they're looking to validate another company with that information too. So be very careful of that.
So my question is for you and Marcus both, who have both been in the space, right? Because now you got my brain turning. Because according to you guys, you can raise from angels, you can raise from audience, like $1 a day from how many people is 7 million a week? Cause I can figure that out, right? And that's the sales part. Like I look at something like from a strictly, I say street level, but I'm not in the streets no more, so I want to say from a layman's level, like from a layman's level, really what I see is things like, I always bring them up, Echo Fox and Marcus. I had always been, before they went out, I had always just been like, and Tim, we're in the community, so Justin Wong and Sonic Fox, and you knew they had big followings, but nobody was walking around FGC events or on the streets wearing their jerseys, and so. Yeah. You figure these companies are making money off merch, right? You're figuring these companies are making money off of licensing deals. And just like any other team, right? Like somehow esports teams can't magically function different. Like media is media, merch is merch, right? It doesn't really matter. So when I'm not seeing any of these jerseys, I'm thinking like, how could these companies be getting valuated where the New York Yankees are investing in them at, 130 million, like 104. I'm like, how? Show me one. You talk about MVP. Show me one product that they're making that shows you that you're going to get $130 million back, right? And so I want to ask you guys, what is the best lesson you guys have learned so you avoid being Echo Fox? Tim and Marcus, I'm definitely interested because I know you guys have been in the dance. You've been in the doctor's interviews. You've flown out to different states. Like, what is it that keeps you from going, from sky high? I mean, in 2 years, Echo Fox went from everyday TV, right, to being the lead of the whole face of our whole industry, right? It's like Twitch, then there's Echo Fox, like big brand, to gone, yep. Can't sell it. Not only gone, can't sell it. Cannot sell it. People, I don't want that shit. I don't want. Hell no.
Then the creator got pushed out.
Right. Then the creator got pushed out. So how? What are you guys doing, and what advice could you give people in your experiences of, your years in the companies and dealing with these different VCs? What is it that you would say is the number one thing people should look out for in their journey?
See, with the Echo Fox situation, that comes down to a whole type of the esports bubble, which I was talking about on the previous thing for example, like the black esports bubble. Black esports bubble can happen that same effect what happened to Echo Fox because of that, where they start getting all these sponsors that are coming on board, money, and then all of a sudden they're not seeing an ROI because the market validation is not there, and that's what happened with Echo Fox. They got money with no validation. You gotta have product validation. If you don't have product validation, you're gonna disappear because they're gonna be like, hold up, we just gave me 20 million over a whole year, and we didn't get a single return back. We didn't get an access code. We didn't get a sign up. We didn't get nothing from that.
So they was just getting so much money, but nothing was. There wasn't no turnover.
Exactly. I mean, that's what happened with, for example, with ESPN and their whole esports division. They shut down the esports division because nobody was using it. And you got to understand, they didn't understand the whole product from the front. The current customer at ESPN is not a gamer.
Right.
And if they are a gamer, they're a frat boy gamer that's playing 2K or Madden. No disrespect, but I'm just saying that they didn't look at their product. Like, they were like, "Oh, we're a sports company. We got to cover esports," and then they closed the whole division 2 years later. Shut it completely down. 200 people laid off.
Saw it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody saw the validation from it. They're like, "Oh, they thought that their their younger viewers from their parents who watch ESPN was going to transfer over to gaming, and it didn't happen."
No.
Because
they're already on a different platform.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's what people forget about gamers. We've already on other platforms for that information. We're not going to ESPN or CNBC.com to get the latest news on gaming and virtual reality. We're not doing that. And so they just didn't realize their market. And that's what causes those issues like that, like the Echo Fox situation.
Yeah, I have to echo that, having the kind of the prototype and stepping it up approach. I'm actively advising companies to go the equity crowdfunding route. And again, nothing against what you've done, Tim. Congratulations, all that. But like, I know a guy right now here in Tampa Bay who has a LinkedIn for Gamers platform that is ready to go live. And all he needs to do is cut a $60,000 check and it'll be live next week. Right. And 4 or 5 years now, he's been building this and he can't. So I've been actively like pushing him towards go to the equity crowdfunding route, because all you're doing is just losing more time and creating a larger gap between you and the rest of the market.
Well, that's one thing too. So I'm surprised does he have any beta testers that have been testing the product at all? Or
it's done, but he can't launch it till he cuts a check to the developers. So it's done, but they're back. There's another great company who won the pitch competition for our Beyond Med event 4 weeks ago. He's trying to get this major investor to come in when he already has a software piece done. He just needs to get a check cut for the hardware piece. But he's basically moving around, and I'm not trying to disrespect what he's doing there, but I advise him to stop trying to chase investors because he's losing time.
That comes down to actual look. See, for example, that's something that's a good angel investor. Like, I'm surprised you're having a problem with that, because an angel, if you already have a product that's ready, an angel will jump on that with a snap. Because the amount. Anything bigger
where do you find, like, so where would someone even seek for angel investors? Is it, of course there's so many different like conglomerates, but like, where would they look? Like, for somebody just hearing that, just like how Sebastian say on labor terms, an angel investor, like, where would I go? Because of course we see these venture capitalist companies. Where would you go for an angel investor?
So for angels, there's two different sites you can go to. One is it's called angellist.com or angel.co, and that's a perfect list of angels that are catered towards you. So for example, if he's doing software, you want to talk to a software angel who has the information in angel from that. You're not going to talk to a gaming angel about software, especially if it's a SASS or anything like that. And so this helps you with that. Literally, you have your portfolio, and they come to you. They're like, "Yo, he's got this, you got this, and you're raising that. Boom, let's connect."
That you raise money off angel lists?
Yep, you can raise money off angel lists. But what we needed though, we needed VC. We needed VC right from the jump. Okay. So that's why I went the VC route. But yeah, it just all depends on what you're raising.
No, because I can tell angel list left a not angel taste in your mouth. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to give it space, right? I know that the ecosystem is a ton of money on all these platforms at different levels. It's just, I ran into the same issue over and over and over again. Digital, in person, here in Florida, around the country. The only thing that worked for me was equity crowdfunding.
Man. Yeah,
And is how much of that is based on the product? Like, how much of that is based on the product, right? Like, do VCs specifically, I'm just curious.
So
do they like certain products and crowdfunding is better for certain products? Is it a you thing? Is it what's the deal? Like, how do you?
I think I was ahead of the curve, right? Too early to the market, right? Because I told you, and Sebastian, I've been talking about blockchain, crypto, and NFTs
for years,
long time,
years,
right?
Yeah, for
4,
sure.
5, 6, 7 years, 4 years just with you, right? And when I got into the space, it wasn't popular, right?
Wow.
So when I would explain blockchain and crypto, people's investors' eyes would glaze over. Or when I talked about indie games, the eyes would glaze over. And now it's a different day. So maybe that was the problem, right? I can own that. I might have just been too innovative too early into the space.
No, that's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. It's just literally the people that you got to meet. Because one thing I will honestly say, and I'll be 100% real with you, The people that got all the money are dumb as hell. I hate to say it like that, but they are dumb as hell. They look good on paper. But when it comes to actually talking to me, you cannot let them feel like the dumbest person in the room. You have to layman that shit down. I make sure when every VC talk, I make sure I explained it like I was trying to explain to a kid how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You explain it stupid as hell, but then you make sure you provide high risk and high reward on it too, so they can see what the money's going into and how they're making the money back. And that's why earlier I was saying there's two things you got to focus on: story and metrics. You do those two for when you're doing your funding, it makes it easier and it makes your funding a lot faster. Otherwise, you're going to be going back and forth. They're going to be like, what's that? What's an NFT? Non-fucking token? Oh, well, what does that do? It's going to become a question to the question to the question. When you just like, I just need $60,000, man. Like, why you drilling me like this? But that's when you have to break it down. What cryptocurrency is blah, 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 blah. And it does this and this. And we're going to use it this way. Oh, okay. But if you explain cryptocurrency and you're not explaining how it works with your product, they're going to be like, I'm lost. So how do you make money? That's the end of the day. How do you make money?
Yeah. Right.
Well, how do you make money? Well, we make money doing this. But how does that make money when it's only worth this? And that's what I was talking about earlier about the doctor interviews, that you get drilled with those questions. Because what VCs and angels look for is like, how am I making my money back? You have to supply those answers with what your product and service is doing.
Well, I mean, that to me is, you've kind of changed a little bit of my mind on VC capital, because now at least I see someone who's working and putting the footwork in. I mean, outside of Marcus, I probably have a bad taste because that's like my brother. So I hear his stories. Plus, I just in general feel like.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Sebastian. I got some horror stories, man. I got some horror.
I
got some horror. I got some scary. I mean, woo.
Even 1.5 later, you still got some scary stories?
Oh, man. When I say, like, and I hate to say it, they're mostly from black VCs. At least I know when I got into it, regular VCs, I knew, hey, man, you're the smart Negro. It freaks us out. Have a good day. Cool. But when you're talking to black VCs and you give them a whole pitch, they're like, well, guess what you should do? You should join our pitching pour that we do on Twitch. I'm going to get 1.5 million.
It's like a hustle with another hustle.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just trying to.
And then they put you on a waiting list to do that. And then, like, okay, then one time there was another company that was doing the pitch pour contest. Like, yeah, go and sign up for that. And I signed up for it. I never got in. I'm like, so I got in with y'all to do the pitch. But then you had made me go through this list to sign up to do this. I signed up for it and it never happens. Yeah. Sorry.
Nah, that's wrong.
But think about the time.
Because the time. That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly.
It's the time. I know
time
how
is our
important
greatest
the time
commodity,
is.
man. That's our greatest commodity. Like, that time is more than any type of amount of money you get. Is your time.
100%.
And so think about that whole process I just went through. That was a 2-week thing.
Right.
Like I got everything set up for the meeting. Did the meeting. Then got a rebuttal to do this and this. Even did the rebuttal and still got nowhere. And you just wasted 2 weeks of your time.
Too much time. So what's the last piece of advice you would give anybody who's starting their business, looking to raise money? You know, just what you want them to take away right now. What is it?
One thing, the two things you got to focus on if you're going to become an entrepreneur and you need to raise money for your company is story and metrics. You want to make sure that your brand is telling a great story on how you're going to take everything to the next level, including that's making a high risk, high reward with your metrics numbers. If you're willing to that, and then that's just a little bit, and you got to bust ass even more to even talk and make sure that you have even growth and make sure your company's still going too. If you're willing to do those things, you're in the right position to succeed. Because it's going to take 5 billion no's to get the 4 yeses that you need to succeed. If you're willing to that, you're ready for it.
That's a gem. Sounds like a gem to me. Any questions from you guys? I feel like I got schooled 2 times tonight, and I'm grateful for it. 2 times tonight.
And I'll leave you with this quote, and I love saying it because it's fantastic. The hero has to win every day. The villain only has to win once.
Are we villains?
So how has it been working with Amazon?
Woo! Okay, so the Amazon, not only being $1 trillion company, Amazon has been fantastic because Amazon was one of the first companies that asked us, what do you need? I'm like, we need bread. Okay, what else you need? We need customers. We need resources. We need to be able to do this and this. We need marketing. Okay, bet. So Amazon's like, yo, so we have AWS that does this and this. We got Prime Gaming that does this and this. We have Twitch that does this and this. I'm like, oh, we'll give you that because we want to be a part of this industry. Amazon literally came to us like, yo, what do you need to help? Let's help. and let's make it make sense. And that's exactly what happened with it, and it's been fantastic.
That's been your Amazon experience.
Yes. So if you're looking for help, if you're looking to get part of Amazon is willing to help back. I mean, like next week I have another meeting with them. They're doing the dinner sit down too, the doctor sit down, for the other stuff that we're working on. But man, I'm talking about they got the department heads, this, that, and that, each person, each level, and they want to be a part of it. They want to help Black tech because there's more Black people using their AWS server. So that's what they want.
So there is a benefit for them doing it, but you've seen up close and personal, and you've gone through the 2,000 no's for the 4 yeses to raise this 1.5, and you've got plenty of experience we just heard over the hour. But you're saying with that stamp, that BESN stamp on it, that Amazon is a great place to get resources and capital for a startup and a minority startup?
Yes. Fantastic. And you got to see them do even more, man. You got to see them do even more. Like Amazon is like, yo, we got bread. Let's spend a little bit. And they ain't trying to spend a little bit either. They trying to spend. What do you need? That's the best thing that you want from any company to come on board. What do you need? We got it. That money's nothing to us. We want to help. But at the same time, we don't want to have this black bubble where it's just like people getting money and then they're not seeing the ROI of it, and that's going to ruin it for everybody. That's what we don't want. And that's a lot of companies doing that. Well, we need 200,000. But what are you doing at 200,000? Well, we just need it. If you don't tell them, we're going to bring our Black people out here to make sure like we fight. Like we don't want that. Like let's let them breathe little. Let's breathe little and then spread the wealth.
Yeah.
And think about it. Game industry alone, $60 billion industry, man. If all of us got 1% of $60 billion, I think we'll be pretty good.
That's a good point. Yeah. Tamika, anything from you? Derek, anything? We good? I'm good. I'm loaded.
I wanted to ask, like, especially on as far as like media and marketing, because of course people have this idea, but it's like, how do you get the word out correctly and successfully in order to, of course, you're raising capital, trying to get money, but then you gotta utilize the other side too to put eyes on what you're trying to sell. What was some things that you learned even from back from like the Thug-Geek era all the way until now that help you make sure that eyes was being put on your company?
So one thing, the benefit of being so early in the industry, I mean, back in the younger days for Thug-Geek, is that the people I network with, they're now executives now. They're not running certain companies now. So it's like having those relationships kind of help build everything else out too. When I found out one of my homies was working at another company that I'm talking to for a sponsorship, he was like, yo, son, I got you. Hey, they already know what I did. So it's like, you have to look at that too. Networking is the key to everything. Like you're always one handshake away from the answer that you need that's going to help your company go to the next level. And you have to always look at that too. And even from a media perspective and a marketing perspective, a lot of startups forget that. They get so busy worried about one hand, they forgot about the other hand. And you can't do that when it comes to running your own company.
Yeah, networking is a lot. Like, what do you think about Clubhouse with networking?
It's just LinkedIn with voiceovers. That's all it is. It's just a soapbox like LinkedIn, but then people actually talk.
Except LinkedIn is on iPhone and Android.
Yep. Because I went to a couple. As a matter of fact, it was one.
Watch that. LinkedIn is about to do something.
No, Twitter already did it already. Twitter already has the function already similar to Clubhouse already.
Really?
Yep.
We know Red and her Twitter.
Yeah, they rolled out first. If your Twitter verified, they rolled out that feature for some people.
Oh, let me see right now. Yep. I'm verified.
Well, you just opened that up.
It's literally, I'm like, dude, and that's all Twitter do. I'm like, Twitter's already doing with Clubhouse. I'm like, well, that happens.
That's what happens, right? There's competition. As you said, that's the marketplace. That's the marketplace.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what happened to PUBG and Fortnite. Well, that's another conversation for another day.
But we know what happened there. That's right.
We know what happened there.
Because we all know Fortnite was not supposed to be where it is right now.
Oh, it sure wasn't.
Not supposed to be at all.
It sure wasn't. It
they
sure
did what
wasn't.
You said, PUBG has spoke to Epic and was like, "Hey, we doing all this stuff, and we need your program to do this."
No.
And then, we got all that source material now. Let's go
and
make.
And it was like, how fast can you turn these guys around?
Oh my God! Oh, it's terrible.
It's crazy. I'm like, oh, wow. Now everything's battle royale, and everything doesn't need to be battle royale, y'all.
It's that saturation, in the market, right? It saturated teams, it saturated talent, it saturated. Yep. You got gamers who were top of the world 2 years ago, doing everything in media, everything they can, and then look at now. I mean, look at now, right? It's like look at now, not even desired a little bit, not desired by the companies, not desired by the consumers, and it's like the old, Britney Spears feed her to the public so much, right? That old thing, we saw it happen so fast with some of those guys. Woo. So that's what we're trying to help build against, guys, and help give opportunities to everybody and really build something special. So thanks again, Tim, for coming on, man. Like, we really appreciate you. You really gave out some gems that are timeless and more valuable, and we'd love to have you back on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate your time and everything.
Thank you for helping our audience.
I like to see us advance, man. It's all about black folks advance. So let's do that.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Thank you guys for coming through. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's our new spot. Marcus. Thanks to Marcus. Okay. We got LinkedIn.
Y'all put this together.
We got LinkedIn together. And, of course, you guys can find us on all those platforms. And tomorrow, our man Rich should have us on all the places you get your podcasts. So continue being great. Keep pushing your business. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, esports, education, and entertainment, you have to come to Eat for Life.